Welcome to Sales Players, the #1 podcast for top players in B2B sales.
Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out in the world of sales, this is the show for you.
We're all about bringing you fresh, actionable ideas to supercharge your rev gen game.
We dive deep into the mindset, habits, and tools used by top performers in the industry. Generate more leads, close more deals, and build wealth and financial security in B2B sales.
So if you're ready to level up, you've come to the right place. Join the conversation with other like-minded sales players and continue the discussion beyond the show.
Hit the subscribe button, tune into the Sales Players, and let's start winning together.
This episode is sponsored by Accord. Accord helps revenue teams drive execution excellence by enforcing their standards for how they sell, onboard, and expand with prospects and customers. Revenue teams can ensure flawless execution of value selling, MedPick, account planning, business cases, mutual action plans, and more with Accord's deal execution platform. If you've been a long-time listener of the show, you've probably already heard me talk about how I use mutual action plans, account plans, and business cases to manage and close my enterprise deals. Well, Accord has created a better way to manage the process. They're your solution for deal execution. Your buyers are going to love it because it makes their evaluation process so much easier by helping them seamlessly validate and onboard new and existing vendor partners. I've been super excited to be using Accord to manage my 6- and 7-figure enterprise deals. So for sales players looking to get started with Accord for free, use the link in the show notes to sign up today.
Hey Sales Players, before we dive back into the conversation, I wanted to introduce you to a game changer in the lead generation tool arena, and it's called Lead Feeder. Imagine having the power to identify companies visiting your website, tracking their behavior in real time, seamlessly integrating this data in your CRM. Lead Feeder is not just a tool, it's your secret weapon for efficient and targeted lead engagement. What sets Lead Feeder apart is its ability to provide detailed insights into visitor behavior, helping your sales team to prioritize efforts and close deals faster. Ready to revolutionize your approach to leads and deals? Head over to leadfeeder.com for your free demo today. That's leadfeeder.com. Don't miss out on the future of successful lead generation with Lead Feeder. Plus, if you go to the show notes, we actually have a special link that will give you a 21-day free trial instead of the normal 14-day free trial. Go over today and sign up.
All right, in this episode, we're speaking with Richard Harris. Richard is the founder of the Harris Consulting Group. He's a 4-time Salesforce Sales Leader and 5-time AAiSP Top Sales Leader. He is also the co-founder and co-host of Surf and Sales, super popular podcast and conference. And we had a really great conversation. Richard has a lot of expertise in the psychology of selling. In fact, his mantra is he teaches revenue teams how to earn the right to ask questions, which questions to ask and when. But he really deeply understands some of the principles of psychology all around humans and why they make certain decisions and why they buy and those sorts of things. So we had some really interesting conversations there. We also learned about his personal coach bot, which was super cool. I don't think it's live yet, but you can go check out his site and, stay tuned on that. And then we learned about the book that he recently wrote, The Seller's Journey. And overall, just an amazing conversation with someone who is an absolute legend in the space. So we're very excited to welcome Richard. So here he is. All right, we're live now. Richard, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm really appreciative of you guys asking me to do this, so thank you.
Yeah, so I've been a huge fan for a long time. I've been following you on LinkedIn and other socials, and so it's a real honor to have you on here. And I definitely want to dig into some really interesting topics. I think one of the things I really like about you, and also Scott, your counterpart, is you're willing to talk about some things that most aren't in the public LinkedIn sphere, if you will, as it relates to sales and mental health and business and those sorts of things. So I'm really excited to get into some of that stuff today. But maybe before we get started, tell our listeners a little bit about who you are and where you come from.
Yeah, I'll give you the quickest version as possible. Richard Harris, founder of the Harris Consulting Group, just wrote a book called The Seller's Journey. There's my shameless plug. I'm not afraid to admit it. You can find it on Amazon and all those other places. I teach reps how to earn the right to ask questions, which questions to ask, and when to ask them. That's the bread and butter of my sales training and consulting business. I also have a portion of my business that does go-to-market and founder-led sales consulting as well. So those are the two biggest pieces, and I'll keep it there, but I can answer a ton more if you want.
I purchased your book before this interview, and I read through it, and so neat selling. But yeah. I think really something that I took away from your book, and with being in Scott's group, I think I first heard about you was through Scotty's little Patreon club.
Yeah.
So I paid the $9 a month.
I gave him that name, by the way.
Oh, Scotty's little sales club.
Yeah, I can tell you the story behind that one day.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's not enough about Scott. I already
let's not talk about that Leese guy. We're not praying for surf. We're just praying for Richard.
Well, I pray for surf. Yeah, I pray for surf. I just don't. Let's talk about Richard.
So one of the key points in your book that I actually I took in is you talk about something that, from my therapy days, is basically the parent-child relationship and these human relationships, and really bringing that into sales and talking about the respect contracts. And I would really like you to just go into what is a respect contract, and really talking about how a prospect and a seller are having parent-child, different types of relationships within the conversation of buying.
Yeah, the goal of this, without getting too deep on psychology, and believe me, I'm not an expert psychologist, I'm just an armchair psychologist, is that every communication that we're taught and learned is obviously comes from our parents or whoever raised us, right? It could be grandparents, it could be uncles, aunts, it could be foster parents, whatever it is, there's this dynamic that exists, and that's where we learn our key communication skills. And because of that, there's particularly at a young age, there's a domineering parent relationship over a child. That's not a bad thing, right? The parent has two parts. There's a nurturing parent, the one that helps you when you fall down or tries to teach you something, or when my son's out there driving, I'm trying to teach him, like, okay, here's how far you should slow down, not, oh my God, slap on the brakes, right? So I'm trying to nurture him along. And there is the other part that does say slam on the brakes. That's the critical parent. And I'm oversimplifying this, but that's the parent dynamic. There's a child dynamic that exists as this natural child, authentic child, which is just the happy-go-lucky kid. I sort of call it's the kid jumping around in the puddles. And the parent, and then the nurturing parent just lets them do it. They don't tell them to get out of the puddles. They're just like, oh yeah, go do that. You're 2, you're 3, go jump in the puddles and have fun, right? Like that's a natural child.
Yeah.
And natural children, you can recognize them when they want it, when they say, I want this, I want that, which obviously is, can be attributed to sales. There's another part of the child that's called the rebellious child, which we all know. When my mom comes to town and tells me where to put the dishes, I'm not a natural child anymore. I'm like, Mom, I'm 55. I think I know where the fucking dishes go. Okay, like stop it.
So what the hell does this have to do with sales, Richard?
That's what
exactly. So the point being is that every decision we make, whether it's about purchasing or deciding to purchase or thinking about purchasing, or what clothes we're going to wear, what food we're going to eat, goes through these cycles. We go through a cycle of, I want to know more. Like from a sales perspective, our prospect, whether it's an outbound or inbound, at some point, the curiosity is peaked that says, I want to know more. That doesn't mean they want to buy. It means I want to know more. That's a natural child. Well, then as a salesperson, we want to try and come in as this nurturing parent, right? Where we're coming in and doing some leading. We're leading the witness. Sometimes our child will come out too. And all of a sudden you got two children trying to make a decision because I don't want to do anything to upset the child. The other child's like, just give me the demo and shut up, and it's like this dynamic. So there's these relationships that exist. And so I'll wrap it up here because it gets really long. The parent ego is the one that is critical or passes judgment. And that means, is it right or wrong, appropriate or inappropriate? Not critical like my mom, right? Like just, is it the right time to talk to Jake about, this service that he's selling? May not be. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. That's being human. The child ego state says, I want it. Right. And sometimes I could say, no, Jake, I don't want to talk to you when you cold call. That's just the opposite, right? That's still a child. And then you have an adult ego state. The adult ego state does pros and cons, pluses and minuses, upside and downside. So like when you make a decision, like I call it the Best Buy treatment. You go look at all the different TVs and then you click the compare button and you're starting to decide price versus size of the TV versus who made it versus all this stuff. Like you're trying to get some rational things and you bounce back and forth between all these ego states in every decision you make. So what I want people to understand just listening to this is whatever reaction your prospect or customer has, just know they're being a human just like you. That's all that matters, is that everyone's just a human. Yeah, you might get them on a bad day. Yeah, they may have just gotten off the call with their significant other and had an argument and they're going to take it out on you. Or maybe they got off the phone with a different vendor who's not giving them the customer success they need, support they need. Like, just recognize humans are human. So I'll shut up there because it can get confusing if I didn't already make it confusing so far. So,
well, and I think one thing that it is confusing, and I think that one thing that you're bringing to the forefront is humans are sellers, and it's not a shameful thing to be a salesperson.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's chapter 1, right? Like, yes, I'm in sales. Like there is, in my opinion, there's no job other than sales that can directly affect and impact more people more easily. Right. That doesn't mean this. Now, again, same thing. The CEO of a Fortune company, right? That person is still a salesperson, and they're affecting the lives of their entire organization and the lives of those lives, right? Those salaries, those things pay for the homes and the college education of the kids. And so it has this very long tail effect. Very few professions I know can do that. Right. And that's why I think we need to recognize it. We affect more people than, most heart surgeons and brain surgeons, like we just do. Now, if I'm the brain surgeon of the head of of a Fortune 500, I could let them defend that argument, but that's only one patient. So
right.
Anyway, so so I want people to be proud about it. I don't want people to go to parties and be like, what are you? I'm a doctor. I'm a lawyer. What do you do? I'm in sales. And we sort of lower our head and lower our voice. And we're kind of ashamed or embarrassed by it. Don't be like, fuck you, everybody. I do more than you do for the significance of the world.
Richard, how did you come up with all this stuff? Is it just from studying psychology on your own, or was there something specific that was kind of a catalyst for you that got this ideation?
I mean, I think it's like anybody else, right? Like it's built upon other things we've learned. My therapy stuff came into my business world. I was in sales long before that. I just didn't understand it. I was probably old. Well, I was old school, smile and dial, failure's not an option, all that kind of stuff that old school mentality. And I teach it for a long time too. I taught it for a long time. And then when I went through my own journey with with therapy, it really just started to connect in a different way. And then things just sort of got, one just sort of snowballed into one thing into another. And then of course, once I became a consultant and don't work for anybody else other than myself and my wife and my kids, it's a whole lot easier to say whatever the hell you want to say and not worry about the repercussions, right? If I work for a company, I have to be a little bit more mindful of that company's brand and persona and all those kind of things.
Talk to us a little bit about that. That's a topic that's of very high interest, both to Chase and myself, but also to a lot of our listeners, which is, you transitioned from being in corporate sales. I believe you were sales leadership also. I know you were an AE at some point, but then transitioned into, leadership and then ultimately into being self-employed.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about when that light bulb moment was.
Well, let's just say the light bulb got turned off on me, right? It was not a choice that I made. I was working for a company, and I didn't know this at the time, but they were going through an acquisition with Intel, and my role was getting eliminated. And so I got laid off about 3 months before the acquisition happened. In fact, I remember being on vacation when the acquisition was announced, and I'm like, oh, well, now it all makes sense. But let me say this.
Yeah.
They hugged me out the door. They gave me great severance. They gave me health care for many months. They really treated me like a human to give me that runway to find what I needed to find. And so I was interviewing like everybody else, and, just was getting to that. I was getting stuck at that fourth and fifth interview. And, I think my impatience came through, and then someone happened to call me to see if I could help them on a project. And I said, yes. And next thing I know, I had a client. I'm flying back from Austin my first week. It was like a 4-week gig. And I'm flying back from Austin, and I sit down on the plane and, sit down next to this guy in literally blue suede shoes and a blazer. And I'm like, he's got to be a startup guy. And it was Nick Maida from Gainsight. This is when Gainsight had 15 employees, right? So he and I have this conversation. We're like chatting it up on the plane for like 2 hours. We're getting shushed by the flight attendant. Neither one of us having a cocktail. Like, we're just two guys having a good time. And all of a sudden I had 2 clients, paying me, 6 months salary for 60 days of work. And so so I called, John Barrows is a good friend of mine. I'm like, John, what do you think? And he's like, dude, it doesn't happen this way, but if the world's telling you, I know you can do this. I know you can pull it off. And so built a $5,000 validation website back when that was considered cheap, long before everything else existed. And I was off to the races. I mean, I fell into it. It was not a strategic thing that I decided to do.
What kind of work was it? Like, say it was just sales technique coaching, or was there systems?
No, the first client was, yes, it was sales training, sales coaching, management training, management coaching, redefining the sales process, helping set it all up in the CRM. I don't touch the CRM, but I helped them outline the stages and the naming and the aging and, the exit criteria, and then teaching their team how to sell and role playing on cold calls and doing cold calls with them. Like, there's all that stuff. And then the same thing with Gainsight.
Wow.
Fast forwarding to today in your consulting company, are things the same, or have they changed a lot from that time period of what you're actually working on with the client themselves, or is
it's a great question?
Still very basic,
it's
like,
nuanced.
Hey, the fundamentals, this is what you got to do.
Yeah, so it's both, right? So, if you think about, and I say this to all the time, right? Tom Brady's not Tom Brady because he makes trick plays. He's Tom Brady because he does the fundamentals so well. And once you get the fundamentals down, then you can do new stuff, right? And so there's a foundation of both, right? So there's, respect contracts, how to respect yourself and your prospect, how to actually articulate those words in a way that makes sense. There's, how to do better discovery and questions. But then there's a whole new set, which is standard. Like, this has been going on since, Mesopotamia, right? There's nothing new here. Then there's a whole session I do on how to deliver pricing, how to avoid discounting. How do you talk to procurement? There's not one salesperson I've ever talked to who's ever had training around procurement. Not one, right? And so to answer your question, there's a lot of fundamentals, and then there's that stuff. If the fundamentals are there, it's easy to talk about the procurement stuff. If you don't know how to do a good job of asking questions, if you don't know how to understand that anxiety you feel is your child ego not wanting to upset mommy and daddy, I can still teach you how to talk to, procurement. It might be a little more uncomfortable until you do it versus someone who's been in sales 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, right? It's just the at bat. You just haven't had as much conversational practice, just because that's just the way it works. So there's a lot of fundamentals. There's a lot of new stuff and nuanced stuff. And ultimately, it's still the same problem. Like, for all that I am, I can get off every call and go, oh, I should have said this. Oh, I could have said that. Like, I'm already thinking in my head, oh, I went too deep on this parent adult stuff you asked me about. Like, I'm already criticizing myself like a parent, right? But like, I just want people to know, like, we're
Yeah.
not perfect, right? Whether it's me or any of my friends who are in this business or your leaders, we're not perfect.
No.
Like, we still make mistakes. We still kind of go, oh, I wonder if I could set it this way differently, right? Like, that's the difference.
What are some other surprising things that you've uncovered, one, in your work with clients, and two, in your pursuit of just understanding better the human psychology that goes into selling?
Yeah, this isn't even my phrase, but I use it a lot. I can't remember who told it to me, but I certainly don't want to claim it. Is that, salespeople and sales leaders, we are by design supposed to be the biggest instigators of change, right? Like, that's our job. Yet when it comes to getting better, we're the hardest people to change ourselves. Our stubbornness, which makes us good at sales, can hurt us because, well, I got this. I don't need to do that. I don't need to learn how to talk to procurement. I've been in sales 20 years. Why should I talk to procurement? I know what I'm doing. And that's probably that. And I learned this maybe 2 years ago. Like, I heard this phrase like 2 years ago. I'm like, oh my God, that's it. That's the essence. Why is stuff not sticking? Yes, it's because there's not coaching. Yes, it's because there's not follow-up or there's not enough practice. But it really comes down to that individual, right? Of that. And so I think that's going to be the part where I think AI is going to really help accelerate sales.
In what way? Of just making follow-up easier and just...
No, it's so I'll cautiously slowly announce this. So I have a bot, Richard GPT.
I've heard Scott has the bot. You have a bot. It's like, okay, yeah.
Scott's bot sucks.
Yeah.
So just give me that snippet, by the way, so I can send it to him.
We will definitely get that.
And put it on a loop. Put
a beat behind it.
Yeah, put a beat behind it. So what's going to happen is that I'm going to go create a separate version of my bot, because right now it has everything I've ever done, right? And you know me, I've got all these podcasts and whatever. And I'm going to just put in my training material. I'm just going to put in my book. I'm just going to put in my very specific online course content, all that stuff. So now imagine you hire Richard for sales training, and included in that training, every rep gets access to the bot. So let's say, one of you is struggling with your respect contract. So you can go talk to Richard about your respect contract. Another one of you needs to talk to procurement, and you need to refresh your mind on the procurement so that you can now go and learn at your pace based on who you are and what you want to know based on the training you've taken from me, which is very different. Cool. Very different than, look, you can think about the lessons Lee out there, like all the LMSs, right? Which are great. Like, that's the first version of this stuff, right? Is that even then it's static and I can't have a conversation, right? You could say, hey, Richard, I'm talking to the procurement person at this company, and I need to understand what they think about such and such and such and such, and then help me figure out how to say this based on, the training we had and our own value proposition. Like, what could be better than that for a 24/7 coach for a sales rep? That's where the AI, I think, is going to be better.
And how did you build this?
There's a company out there that does it for you, and found someone who does it, and been working with them for the last couple of months, and it's pretty cool. That's
cool. Really interesting.
So, yeah.
And, do you have any case studies on me as a salesperson? I'll be honest. It's like, I don't really want to ask my leadership for help a lot of times. Do you feel like going to a bot or going to somebody else? Okay. Or I'm going to Scott Leese's group. I'm going to your group to ask questions. And
so hold on though. Yeah. Is this because Chase doesn't want to ask his parents for? Is this? Rooted in his parent psychology?
The dynamic.
Shame, shame me. It's a lot of shame.
It's amazing. So, you guys came up in the world after me, so I don't know if you ever used or know Khan Academy, which is one of the early online things for tutoring and stuff like that for kids. And I've heard this now from two different sources. One, that guy just wrote a book. It's a fascinating book. It's all about education and learning and how AI is going to implement it. It just came out this year. It's all written last year. He had access to ChatGPT-4. I can find the book on my phone in a second and tell you. But so he's been playing with this stuff, right? And he said what the difference is, people are way more comfortable inputting that information into a bot and an AI than they are talking to their parents or their boss.
Really?
And I had a conversation with someone else who's building an AI platform. And I said, but are reps really going to use this? Like, are they really going to go and like feel like they're going to get tracked, that someone's reading what they said into the bot? And they're like, oh, you'd be surprised. Right? Like, think about it. If and part of it is the conditioning, right? Like, because the most recent generation went through online learning and had to do a version of this kind of sharing of ideation in a non-physical environment, their wheels are already geared up for that, right? Like my kids, right, who are 16 and 14, it'll be a whole lot easier, right? Like my kid literally just yesterday came to me and talked about, Richard, can I get ChatGPT-4? And I'm like, well, actually, we're going to look at this Khan Academy thing because it's exactly that. And so anyway, so it was fascinating to me, coming back to your question, that two very different sources told me the same thing, that people are much more comfortable asking for advice from a bot than they are another human being, which in some ways is good. In other ways, it's bad. That being said, there's nothing you can do about it. So you might as well figure out a way to work with it, right? Yeah. And going back to Khan in the book, he even says, look, ChatGPT came out, every school district, like, nope, can't use it, can't use it, can't use it, can't use it. Well, now they're figuring out, well, how do we use it? How
it's not going anywhere. You have to figure out how to adapt. Yep.
Not only that, but I'm not going to go into a rant because it's not the topic today. But
no, please.
But it's about education. It can help a teacher create their lesson plan better.
Right.
Right. If I'm a teacher, hey, help me figure out, these are the things I need to teach. These are the things I need to do to help me put my lesson plan. Right. Now, a certain number of teachers who've been doing it for 20 years, they're probably, copying and pasting last year's lesson plan. They're dialed in. They're not going to go do that. Right. Yeah. But the newer teachers are going to come in and adjust it. Therefore, it's going to be easier to do that. So I could go on and on about this, but
well, and
it's fascinating.
I'm going to share something so I have some learning disabilities, and I'm not the greatest grammar person. I've been using Grammarly for a very long time, and I would say that that is one of my hindrances. I have a great talking. I'm great. I love to talk. Right. Writing emails, I suck at.
Yep. So it's funny you say that. So I'm pulling. Oh, the book is called Brave New Words. Okay. And you should get that book right after you purchase The Seller's Journey by Richard Harris.
That's right.
That's right. He talks about this very specifically, is that when Grammarly first came out, it was shunned. Oh no, the kids got to learn grammar. The kids got to learn grammar. Then all of a sudden they realized not so much. Like, it's like before Grammarly, guess what? They were spell check for us. Right. Yeah. So at some point it kind of gets layered on that Grammarly is a good thing because it teaches the kid how to focus on the art of writing a story and focus on the assignment. Right. And not to say that they shouldn't learn grammar, but this is what he's sort of talking about. Like, as the technology goes, and the same thing's happening in sales, we went from, literally, I'm old enough to know Yellow Pages and a rotary dialer. Right.
Oh, gosh.
Then lo and behold, you got the fucking push tone button phone, and I could make more phone calls. Right. Then all of a sudden I got this, this, I don't know what you could, it wouldn't even, the word CRM didn't even exist, but you had this database you put stuff in, right? Then came the database, then came email. I remember, look, this is the craziest thing. I tell this all the time. I've been in sales long enough to know that emails didn't count as part of your daily activities because we couldn't measure them like we could phone calls. Does that blow your mind? Like,
that's pretty crazy.
That is nuts, right? So every step of technology gets us there, and every step we freak out and we panic and don't want to change. And then we get used to it and we go to the next level of technology.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, in essence, that's the definition of the entire SaaS world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? Like, who would have, Benioff is credited for so much, and this is one of them, is like, nobody's going to want to buy that. Everybody wants to have it. They're not going to trust the security in the cloud. They're not going to trust that. What happens if it goes down? Or, I want to control it in my own environment for all these reasons, right? Now, all of a sudden, it's like, no, like it doesn't scale well,
Yeah.
So anyway, I think, God, I feel like my ADHD is through. Holy shit.
It's all good. Hey, mental health awareness on this episode.
Yeah.
There you go.
This is a perfect segue to a question we get a lot from our fans and listeners. And Chase and I have a Slack community. Folks should go check that out as they're listening here and,
Please
play
do.
along with us here. Yeah, please go check it out. So we have a community. We get a lot of questions in there. One of those questions is always, what tools do your guests use that they're really excited about? Like what's in Richard's stack today? And then what are some companies in the tech space that you're seeing are doing really innovative things for sellers?
Yeah. So it's a difficult question to ask me because I don't, I'm a solopreneur. So I don't have a ton of stuff, although it is one of the funniest conversations that Scott and I do have, is that how much I spend on a stack versus him. Like, Scott doesn't even have a CRM. Like, he's still Excelling it, right? Yeah. So, and it's not like he's a master of pivot tables, by the way. Let's be honest. So, sorry, Scott. Love you. Not really sorry, Scott. You can put that part in with the other part.
Okay.
We'll loop it and add a beat track.
Yeah. So I'm not necessarily the right tool guy to ask, right? I know what you need. I know the types of things. You need a call recording and coaching platform. You need a sales engagement platform. Those two things can overlap. You need quality data. I think the best companies have 2 data sources, not 1. I know that sounds expensive, but what are you going to do when the reps aren't hitting goal, but you got crappy data? You can't blame the rep, right? So I think those are, those are the obvious. There's a couple of tools out there that I really, really like. I got to go find this one. Data. No, not data. I got to go find it. But they actually have the role-playing scenario available with a real bot, and you can change the tone of the bot specifically to be easy or hard, etc.
I've heard about this.
Yeah, so it's called Hyperbound. So
Hyperbound.
So they're really good. I know the 2 founders. I've done some work with them on some stuff, and that's really, really crazy. And right now it's being, and I've used it. Like, I've used it, and then I pitched it and used it with a team to watch how they do. It's insane how good it is.
So you can get like a super asshole exec scenario, and you can train your reps to call against a, angry CEO or something.
Yeah. And it's interesting. And so this is the challenge I see in leadership, right? Leadership looks at that and they go, oh, but there's this latency between when the rep says something and the bot says something. I'm like, it's fucking practice. Are you kidding me? Your rep needs to actually take a second to think.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like, stop. Like, the goal isn't to expect perfection of the bot and the person to convince the angry bot to buy. The goal of this is to get your rep more comfortable emotionally with talking to these assholes. Like, stop over engineering and over indexing on perfection. Like, and so that's the funniest thing to me when I see it in the training space, right? Is that it's like, really, that's your complaint? That there's a latency? Like, you think it's bad that you're giving your rep a 1.5 second window to think? Really? Give me a break. Because right now, when you're brand new and you're a rep, even if you're a veteran rep, but you're learning new product information or competitor information, you need that second to figure it out. So this bot that you're using is giving you that second so that when you talk to a real person, you don't need that 1 second. Like, stop it. Like, stop trying to like prove the engineer wrong.
Richard, do you feel like at some point we've kind of lost, I think this is pretty much a softball question for you, but at some point, did we just lose our way when it comes to overanalyzing everything in sales performance? I had a manager a few years ago who was a veteran. This guy had scaled a really, really successful company and sold it to Oracle. He was the sales leader there, and he was about to retire. And he called me one day and he was like, Jesse, you got to get the hell out of this business at some point. It's gone way too far. Now every and you say on a call is going to get held against you in a court of law and this and that. And this was a few years ago, I'm still doing it. But the longer I go in my career, the more I realize like every call I do is being completely monitored. I'm okay with it because I feel like I'm pretty good. But I'm also, I'm not the best either, and I'm willing to improve. But it just feels like we've lost our way at a certain point.
So there are a lot of answers to that, right? Yeah. So the first answer is that's no different than the argument of your emails don't count. Shut the fuck up. Get back on the phone.
Right.
Because I can only analyze your dials and talk time, and if your talk time's not high enough, like I ran a team once where the team jacked their talk time by calling Ticketmaster and just sitting on hold.
Oh,
yes.
I've heard of similar plays.
Oh, yeah, and like the double tap. I never knew what double tapping was.
Yeah.
And until I had some SDRs just double tap.
But now there's a strategy for double tap, though. I don't mind that strategy. If it's gaming the system and you're not getting results, then I got it. So that's the first thing. Yes, that's always happened and always will happen. This goes back to the other comment, though, of like, hey, we are the biggest instigators of change, but how much are we willing to change?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And at what pace is the right level of change for each person? Hence the AI coach coming in to coach.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where I really think we are. A big part of this at a high level, though, is like we're losing the humanity in sales again.
Yeah.
Right. And again, this is a cycle. It goes every time, right? Every time there's new technology, we lose the humanity. Right. So the sales loft and the outreaches came out and it turned into spam. Right. But it didn't turn into spam because of bad salespeople. It turned into spam because of bad leadership who set unrealistic goals. Right. But then it was about teaching them messaging and all these things. And now you've got a bot that can help with the messaging. Well, that's good. Except now that we've gotten the messaging part and the bot part down, it's going to turn into spam again. Right. Mm-hmm. And so we go through these ebbs and flows of all this stuff. The part that's missing every time is the humanity. Right. It was, 2020, with COVID and everything, was the first biggest shift in business that I ever saw about people being humans again.
Yeah.
It was about employees being comfortable, employees working from home and making the extra effort and doing all this work and being mindful of our employees and all this stuff. And I knew it would happen. Eventually that cycle goes away. And now we're right back where we were before. In fact, it's happening now. I see it all the time, right? And 2023 was the instigator of that. 2024 is going to be as worse than 2023. I think we're going to have a better economy in 24 than we did in 23, but people aren't going to hit their goals because we're still trying to make up for 23. Like we're already starting to see the layoffs happen now, right? So, So again, another long answer from Richard. Holy cow! I'm doing terrible. I feel like this is a horrible.
Richard, I want to ask a bot question to a real person.
Sure.
Talk to me about, and you've been around this industry for some time. Talk to me about pricing. Like I've been running up. It just seems lately in my pricing discussions and my demos, I'm sharing the price anchor of like, you're going to get a 3 or 10x return on ad spend or whatever from our product, but people just don't want to move. And they're just like, well, that's $5,000 I don't want to spend.
Right.
And so you're complaining about pricing.
Yeah. There are two parts to that. By the way, I have an idea. Is there a chat feature here? Is there a chat feature?
There is down at the bottom right. Let's see.
The double window.
We should have done this sooner, but where do I put it in? These guys see, I'm really good at helping sell technology. I'm not great at using technology. Right? That's the mantra.
Everyone.
Anyway,
you got to click everyone. There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
There it is. Okay, here. So while I answer this question, go ask my bot a question and let's see, but don't tell me, and then ask me the question and we'll see what my answer is. But back to your original question of pricing. So there's a couple of problems. One, if your pricing is not aligned with the market, that's a leadership issue. If your value prop isn't aligned with the real pains of the personas, that's as much a leadership issue as it is yours. If the goals are not aligned with what's happening in the economy, that's a leadership issue, not yours.
Interesting.
For those listening, though, that does not mean these become a salesperson's crutch. This is not our excuse factory. It's our excuse reality. And what we have to make sure is like, okay, well, if they're telling me that's $5,000 I don't have, I need to go back and say, what, to myself, what did I miss? Where did I not show them $5,000 in value? Where did I not get to the real economic impact they're having and how much it's actually dollarizing the cost they're having? And I don't just mean this cost of the pain here and now, but because of this pain, how much is it affecting you in the future, right? So I'm looking at both sides of the coin. And I'm not talking about ROI. I'm talking about what's the economic impact of their pain and how great is it? And did I do a good job of that? If I did do a good job of that and I asked the right questions that got them to express their pain in their way around their numbers, and they still didn't buy because they didn't have a budget, I don't know what else somebody wants me to do.
Right? Yeah.
And part of it is, it's not just that they don't have the $5,000 for you. It's that $5,000 is going somewhere else in the company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, therefore, does that mean maybe I did do the economic impact, but maybe I didn't ask the right question of, gosh, what other projects are you working on in the organization? Not what other projects are you marketing team looking at or IT team looking at or HR team looking at? What other projects in the organization? Because that's why they're not spending money with you. They feel like there's greater value in the other projects than in yours.
Yeah. Interesting.
Solid. Well, I didn't get the link for your chat bot, so I can't ask you the Richard bot.
Put it in the chat.
Let's see.
Chat group name, everyone. Oh my God.
Oh, weird. Yeah, I thought I was in the everyone group.
I don't know. Anyway, oh well. Can't do it. It would have been fun though. I'll do it on my next exercise. So have me back. We'll do it again another time. Next time we'll do it. You know what? Ahead of time, you guys will go and ask like 4 questions. And then you'll ask me the same 4 questions, and we'll see where it goes. So.
That'd be great. So, talk to us a bit about your book. I know you just had a book come out. Where can folks find that? What's the overall premise? I know we've covered a lot of the topics from that because Chase was able to dig into the book. Yeah. Tell us a bit about that and plug the thing.
Yeah, thank you. So the book is called The Seller's Journey. It is called that because I do not believe that a buyer's journey exists. I only think there's a buyer's experience that exists through a seller's journey. And that journey is actually created by sales and marketing, right? So it's not just sales, but for the sake of the book, it's the seller's journey. There's an experience someone has to have that makes them even want to talk to a salesperson, whether it's inbound or outbound. Some experience happened, right? Yeah. And we've all got a ton of apps on our phone where the experience is horrible and we'll never go back to them, right?
Yeah.
So, like that's what I'm talking about. So it's always about the experience. So that's the high level. The book kind of comes in 2 parts. One is we talked about was this mentality of sales about, yes, I'm in sales and understanding what that means and digging into yourself a little bit and finding that your inner self, not your inner truth, just your inner self, because that can change over time. Then there's 13 tactics in the book, right? There's respect contract, open and closed ended questions, how to ask for the skeptic, not ask for the decision maker, how to negotiate with procurement, all these different tactics that are out there. So, it's 2 parts. So it's meant to give you that thought leadership piece as well as that, okay, well, here's some tactical stuff I can actually go do tomorrow, right now. So you can find it obviously on Amazon. You can find it at the sellersjourney.co, and that'll get you to all the other places you can buy the book.
Perfect.
And we'll put a link in the show notes for listeners out there who want to go pick up a copy. Richard, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. Anything else you'd like to share with our audience on
I just
career?
want your audience to know two things. So one, if you want to get a hold of me, my phone number, my legit phone number is 415-596-9149, 415-596-9149. Text me ahead of time to let me know that that's where you're coming from, because it's my real number. It's the number my kids ignore when I call and text them. So I know it's legit. But let me know. Otherwise, I don't usually answer strange calls, right? But nobody ever calls. That's the funny thing.
Really?
Yeah. And then the other thing is check out surfandsales.com, right? Come to the event in November 24. It's every November, but we've got 2 events coming up in 2024. And come learn a little about sales and life and business, and maybe learn to surf. Not everybody surfs, so you don't have to be a surfer. But come and chill in Costa Rica with us, with a small group of people. So those are the 2 things I'd love for people to take away, aside from trying to follow my ADHD-ness.
This has been
Hold on,
great. Go ahead.
Yeah, really quick before we wrap up, I got to know. So the phone number, nobody ever calls. Do you ever get any inappropriate pictures via text?
I have not. It's so funny you say it. I've never. No. Let me rephrase.
Now people are going to do it.
Yeah.
No dick pics, people.
Please, no. But I will say, every now and then I get a call, like maybe once every 2 or 3 months. The last 2 calls, one was a guy last week who wanted some career advice. Another, this was fascinating to me, from the GTM Fund podcast, right? Max Altschuler's podcast. I mentioned it on there. And this young woman who was a junior or senior in high school called me with her her partner, because they were working on a project for DECA, like the work program that's in high schools around the country.
Mm-hmm.
And they just wanted to ask me advice.
Love that.
Right? And I'm like, okay, first thing, both of you need to give my number to your parents, because you just called some guy off the internet. You need to let them
sign
know.
A contract.
No, just hey, this is I'm aware of how the world works. I got 2 kids, so but they were working. But it was fascinating because they're one of the girls has to get an IV fairly regularly, and when that happens, you get really cold. So she created these sweatshirts that have zippers in the sleeve.
Oh, cool.
Right? Super smart and super trendy. They're made for kids. They have cool patterns and designs and, all that stuff on it. And so, of course, I gave her all the time in the world that she wanted and her partner wanted. We had a couple of conversations around how to present it. And they gave me I felt like I was a little bit on Shark Tank. So yeah, people do actually call, and I like it when they do, because they're really fun conversations. They're completely out of the blue, but no, I told GTM, I think they get 20,000 downloads an episode. They're like, Richard, your phone's going to blow up. I'm like, no, it's not. Nobody ever calls. So it's fascinating. So.
Interesting. What's the name of the sweater company? Give them a plug on the show here.
God, I wish, what, they haven't named it yet, because they're still, they were going to the national finals to do this. So they were at that stage of they've sold to a couple of dialysis places in their local market. Wow. Right. So they're trying to figure that out. It's not online yet. I would plug it. I don't think they've given it a name, but I would love to plug it. And by the way, someone text me, if you are really interested, I will gladly go find out these 2 young ladies, where they're at, and I will gladly get you in touch. So maybe you've got someone in the family who's going through this, or a child yourself, or someone I know they will gladly take a sale from anybody, and I certainly want to support some kids. So, that's what I'll do in the short term.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Richard. I just want to say thank you for being a leader in this space. I am in Baghdad. I think we found that it's a home of 1,500 people, and you and Scott's community, or 1,700. Yeah. You and Scott's community, really welcomed me into being a SaaS seller. And these communities really do have impact. So, yeah.
I would believe me, you and I wouldn't be talking if people didn't support each other. Like, I'm not above the fact that, like, this is a full circle thing. This is not because Scott and I talk about stuff or I talk about stuff. It's because I try to talk about stuff that matters to people, and I just try to do it and put good karma in the world. And, I'm appreciative of you guys having me on and letting me plug some stuff and, just having a conversation. So I'd love to do it again when you guys want.
Hell yeah. Well, cool. Thanks again, Richard.
All right.
Peace
we
out.
will catch you later. Thanks, everybody.
If you do any prospecting with LinkedIn, you have got to go get set up with Surf. That's SURFE. It's a tool you can use to add new contacts to your CRM system directly from LinkedIn in seconds. I'm using it every single day. I add contacts, follow my deals, keep track of notes, and it ends up saving me a bunch of time on prospecting and outreach, which means I can spend more time moving my deals along. The data is always 100% accurate since I don't have to copy and paste all the fields over from each and every contact that I want to put in my CRM. Instead, Surf does that all automatically with just one click in about 60 seconds. The team over at Surf has put together a very special offer for fans of sales players. There's a link down in the show notes, and you can use the promo code JWSURF5. Don't forget the E at the end of Surf. That's JWSURF5 for 5% off your first year. Don't spend another minute doing things manually. Go get set up with Surf.